G'day battlers, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different because today I'm going to be competing in my first ever Pokemon TCG tournament. Now, as you know, I'm a Pokemon Go guy. I only picked up the TCG a couple of months ago playing online just before the World Championships. And actually, while I was at the World Championships, I talked about this in the Worlds vlog, but I was asked to be a part of the World Championships intro video for the broadcast. And in doing that, I was able to spend some time with Henry Brand, the 2019 Pokemon TCG World Champion. And not only is he an Australian, but he is the only Aussie to ever win a Pokemon World Championship in the Master Division in any game. So it just felt right to use his deck for today's Cup. Now, there's two Pokemon that you need to understand this deck, that being Banette and Dusknoir. So especially for the Go players in the audience, I'll just do a quick 90-second explainer about those two Pokemon especially, and you'll really get a feeling for this deck and you'll probably understand the rest of the video pretty well. In TCG, the main aim of the game is to either knock out all of your opponent's Pokemon or to collect all 6 of your prize cards. Every time you KO one of your opponent's Pokemon, you get to pick 1 to 2 prize cards, generally depending on how strong the Pokemon was. Banette is our main attacker and has 2 attacks that it can use. Everlasting Darkness doesn't do a lot of damage, but it stops the opponent from using item cards on the next turn. This is a major disadvantage, as item cards like Rare Candy are incredibly useful. Rare Candy lets you evolve a Charmander straight into Charizard, skipping the middle evolution and giving you a very powerful Pokemon very early in the game. You can use Everlasting Darkness again and again and again, and when your opponent's hand is just full of item cards they haven't been able to use, that's where the second attack comes in, Poltergeist. Poltergeist does 60 damage for every item card or supporter card that is in their hand, meaning that if they're holding onto a ton of items, that you can almost guarantee a KO into any Pokemon. Now, that's only one Pokemon. The other major part of this deck is Dusknoir, who is never going to use its attack. Instead, we're going to use its ability, Cursed Blast, which KOs our own Dusknoir in return for doing 130 damage to any of the opponent's Pokemon. The opponent gets 1 prize card for this, which doesn't sound like a great thing, but this is where it synergizes with Banette. Say your opponent plays a Charmander. Banette is going to stop it from evolving straight into Charizard using Everlasting Darkness, so they have to spend 2 turns to get there. 1 to evolve to Charmeleon, and then another to evolve to Charizard. That gives us a 2-turn window of opportunity to sacrifice our Dusknoir, KOing their Charmander or Charmeleon before they ever get the chance of getting a powerful Charizard onto the field. Now, I did tell a slight lie there, because I said there were 2 key Pokemon for this deck. Turns out there is a third one, and that third one is Wailmer. Now, Wailmer has the incredibly powerful attack of... Yeah, it doesn't have anything. It's pretty useless, but it's here for meme value. And to be honest, was I not going to bring this guy? I mean, he got me top 6 at the Sydney Regional Championship in Pokemon Go. Surely it'll be good in TCG, right? But with all of that said, I think we're pretty well ready to get into it and give it a go. Massive shout out to Debbie Pebble for hooking me up with this deck for my birthday the other week. And let's give it a go. Let's get into this cup. Okay, round 1 is officially wrapped up, and I've had to come out here outside because it is so loud in there. There are 60 people. It is so busy. It is so cramped. It is so... it's actually really cool because Go locals definitely aren't that big yet. Maybe one day, but round 1 all wrapped up, and someone got a Dubsky. It was literally, I was matched up against Charizard, which it literally went as I explained in that sort of deck intro beforehand. Like, I stopped them from getting to their Charizards. I couldn't let them evolve, blocking them from using items, and I was just able to just sort of push through and eventually get my 6 prize cards and win the game. So we got a win. He was so nice, by the way. Like, I was like, oh, look, I'm not very good at shuffling. And he was so patient with me, really helpful as well, sort of taught me a few things. But I think he was like the 2022 Hong Kong regional champion as well. So not an easy opponent, but an easy deck, because that's probably my best matchup in the deck. But we're going to be going through to next round. It's Swiss and 6 rounds, so we've got 5 more rounds of play to go. Long day ahead. There's not even like a lunch break or anything. You've just got to eat when you've got a break, and here I am recording when I have a break. What a fool. But yeah, round 1 on the books, which means that Wailmer has this 100% win rate. This TCG thing is easy, guys. Okay, we just finished round 3, so we're 3 rounds in. I won the first round. Round 2 was actually a draw. It was up against the Gardevoir deck, which I don't think it's like a bad matchup. I don't think it's a good matchup as long as I sort of stop them from setting up quick enough, then I think we're pretty good. But we ended up timing out, so game 1, I won, game 2, they won, and then game 3, I was a draw because we ran out of time, and so round 2 was a draw, which we don't have in Go either. But then round 3, I was up against a Giratina deck that I sort of mentioned earlier on that I used to play that. Unfortunately, I got pretty well whooped. I made a lot of mistakes. I don't think I made a lot of mistakes in the first 2 rounds, but round 3, I was just making so many blunders. So we took the 2-0 loss there, but it does mean that we're still going on into round 4 with 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So look, I think that's a pretty good result so far, but we've still got 3 rounds to go, so let's get back in there and see how we go. Okay, again, we just blitzed through rounds 4, 5, and 6, which means we've officially sort of concluded the tournament. I think they're going to go into top cut, but look, spoilers, we didn't make it to top cut. You know, we got that one win in round 1. That was the last win of the tournament we got. We got a draw in round 2. That was the last draw of the tournament we got. We had 4 straight losses after that. So as I mentioned before, Giratina was round 3. Round 4, we were up against Raging Bolt, which I think is one of our worst matchups that we could have gotten. So that was a bit of a train wreck. Round 5, on the other hand, actually went pretty well. So they sort of just whooped me game number 1. But game 2, I had a really good turn. I was getting really well set up, and they ended up forfeiting so that we didn't go to time. So we had enough time to do game 3 because they were a bit worried that, well, yeah, they didn't want to draw. They were trying to get the win, so they went into game 3, and then unfortunately, I had a brilliant first 2 turns. Like, it was going so well. And then I just could not draw a single card that I wanted. It was going horribly wrong from there, and just slowly they were able to, enough time passed that they were able to just clean me up, and nothing I could do. So I ended up taking the loss there in round 5. And then round number 6, I didn't even mention it, but earlier in the tournament, someone was like, oh, look, I think that you're really good against teams that need item cards, like the Charizard deck, but you'll really struggle against teams like Lugia, because they don't really need item cards at all. And I went, okay, noted. Do you want to guess what team I saw in round 6? It was Lugia. It was Lugia. So it didn't go very well. To be honest, it actually was going okay in game number 2. Actually, that's a lie. It was not going well at all. We were pretty hard set on losing. I had a win con or 2 maybe here or there, but in the end of the day, it was not going our way at all. So we ended the day with that 1 win, 1 draw, and 4 losses, which is I feel like that round 1 win really set us on a high, so that we just sort of slowly created back to reality. If we lost number 1, I think that I would be feeling a lot worse. If it took me this long to get a win at the end, I think I'd be feeling worse than I do now. I felt pretty good getting that round 1 win. Let's be real. So, I'll get back in there and I'll find out how we actually ended up placing. But all in all, it's been a really fun tournament. These guys are so lovely as well. I was actually really worried that they were going to be, really not nasty, but just that they weren't going to have a lot of patience for my just inability of knowing what things were, really bad shuffling, etc., etc. But they were so kind, they were so lovely, and really just happy to help out. So really appreciate everyone here. I think I'll just go up, find out my result, and we'll do another sort of finale recap at the end. So time for the final reveal. What were my standings? How did I place in my first ever TCG tournament? Well, the answer is I came 30th, which sounds pretty good, especially because earlier on I said there were 60 people. Turns out that some of those were juniors, some of them were seniors, so I think there were only 37 people in the tournament, and I placed in 30th. So part of that is because a few people dropped out. I think I actually only beat one other person that played all the way to the end of the tournament, but I was doing a lot better than a lot of the people that dropped, so, I'm gonna call it 30th. I'm actually really happy with that result because, I was coming in here with no training, no real clue of what my good or bad matchups were, and I'm sure I left win cons on the table, but I feel like a lot of my losses were due to a little bit of luck, and that probably has something to do with the deck, to be honest. Something I'm really happy about, though, happened in round number 6. So it was the very last game of the entire tournament. I played Wailmer to the field for the very first time, and there was a reason for it. Not that Wailmer was good, it would be better off if it was any other card, but by playing Wailmer to the field, I was able to sort of clear out my hands, and then I was able to pick up more cards than I would have been otherwise to try and find a win con. And so there was actually a reason to play Wailmer. It saw the field, and then, it was the very last KO of the game, very last KO of the tournament, which felt very thematic. I did ask my opponent that's what they did. They could have picked any Pokemon to KO, but I asked them for them to pick the Wailmer. And so Wailmer, it saw the field, and it saw battle, and it didn't win in battle, but it was there. Actually, I think almost every opponent, whenever I discarded Wailmer, because again, for the most part, it didn't see the battlefield, it got discarded at some point, they picked it up and what is the Wailmer about? So they read it, they read all the moves, they were like, there has to be some strategic value here, surely. Why is this Pokemon here? It heals 30 damage? What is the deal? Yeah, it was a mean pick. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed having it in the team. I don't regret bringing Wailmer at all. But overall, I had a really great time. I'm really glad I came. Massive shout out to the Good Game Central team for running this tournament. I even won some prize packs. So my 30th place result ended up with 2 sort of Series 5 Play Pokemon prize packs and also 2 Stellar Crown decks. So thanks again to Debbie Pebble for sourcing the deck. Thanks to all of my opponents for being so gracious, so kind the entire way through. Really a pleasant experience the whole way through. Now, this isn't going to be my new thing. I'm going to stick to Pokemon Pokemon Go for the most part, but I definitely might sort of try and jump in for a TCG tournament here or there when the timing suits and when there isn't a Go local going on at the same time. But I hope you enjoyed this sort of insight into the TCG local scene. I sort of wish that I could have got some recording inside the sort of venue, sort of recording my games. I'll try and sort that out next time, assuming there will be a next time. I'm definitely looking forward to a next time, although it might not be for a while, because as I'm recording this, I'm leaving in like a week and a half for Gdansk, Buenos Aires, and also LAIC for a back-to-back Go regional bonanza. So look forward to that vlog in a couple weeks time as well. It should be a lot of fun. But with that said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially that subscribe one, and I'll see you in the next one, probably for some more Pokemon Go PvP material, and then getting back in the vlog game, I guess, for that world tour trip over to LAIC. So until then, good luck, and let me know if you ever play Whalemate in TCG.